to have the north crossings in the North Atlantic. It's why we've been able to have the crops we've had. That's why we've been able to sustain 7.5 billion people, roughly. And if we have a mini ice age, or because you have a few mini ones before you enter a big one, like birthing pains, if we get a big one, there'll be permafrost in the panhandle of Texas year-round. Minnesota and Illinois and places like that will be unlivable. Canada will be unlivable in most areas. How you like that? You have 5, 6 winters, like some of the ones we've been having, and it will devastate the North. Billions and billions a year on infrastructure damaged from the cold. The ice age is what you should be worried about. And it has nothing to do with CO2 coming out of your car or coming out of your mouth that plants breathe. Do you ever think about that? That you know we exhale what the EPA has listed as the #1 toxic waste. You know the carbon cycle is sunlight, water, carbon dioxide, and oxygen. You got to have those 4 things for life on terra firma. And they know sunshine's good. They know oxygen's not bad. They know water's not bad. So, but carbon dioxide sounds scary, like monoxide. And that's why we can go out in Austin and get 9 out of 10 people at the University of Texas or on the hike and bike trail, people with degrees, to sign our petition to ban dihydrogen monoxide, that's water, and to ban carbon dioxide. In fact, we did one 2 years ago. I want to go back out and have people call for banning carbon dioxide. Do you understand that if they ban carbon dioxide, the Earth will die in you understand that plants live off of it, and then they put off oxygen. That's the carbon cycle. I know you know that, but they want to tax the individual. If you read the UN documents, they want to tax humans for breathing. And I said that a decade ago. A few years ago, it was in the New York Times, a tax on air. A tax on breathing. You can pull those headlines up. They really mean to do it. And that's what Obama is going ahead with China, saying he'll executively put all this in place, even if Congress, and I'm not lionizing the Republicans, but they're the ones 4 years ago that voted down the carbon tax and voted down shutting our power plants off. And guess what Obama did? He went ahead with the EPA, and the Supreme Court said, you know what? The EPA can act outside of Congress and basically make law. But they said Congress can cut off the funding to the EPA. So see, I tried to go through the articles. I went through about 12, 14 before I hit one and stopped. But we have new Jonathan Gruber videos. And it will be their arrogance that undoes them. As the president lands with about 6 support jumbo jets, he lands with Air Force One, red carpet, guards everywhere, helicopters, troops, 300 Secret Service agents just in his detail, hundreds more in whatever city he's in, just a phalanx of hundreds of aides, thousands of bureaucrats behind him and infrastructure, and he says, you shouldn't be able to have air conditioning because it puts off CO2. We ought to have incentives for CO2. Did you know that the CO2, you can look at it in the last 1,000 years and it goes up and down a little bit, but if you look back into the mud flats and the ice caps, you go back 100,000, 200,000, 300,000, a million years, it's the lowest it's ever been the last 1,000 years. Scientists, real scientists, climatologists, planetologists, I would call them, to use a Herbert word, are totally freaking out. It appears we're losing our atmosphere right now, like Mars did. Mars used to have water all over it, boys and girls. We're losing our atmosphere, and it's like these demons that run things who detonated hundreds of hydrogen bombs in the upper atmosphere, admittedly trying to blow holes in it. That's on the History Channel, Discovery Channel has a show, Trinity and Beyond, narrated by Shatner. And they just report they were trying to blow holes in the atmosphere. So the government detonates hydrogen bombs in the atmosphere. But you can't have your car. You understand that? They plant GMO everywhere that kills the honeybees and rats and insects that eat it. But you are supposed to eat it. When we come back, I'm going to control myself. I've only gotten in about 14 articles. I'm going to go crazy. I'm going to hit 100 articles. Or somebody's going to come in here and hit me upside the head with a shovel. That's a figure of speech. I'm not being serious. PrisonPlanet.tv, Infowars.com. Follow us on Twitter, Real Alex Jones. If you're listening or watching this transmission, you are the resistance. And then Germany being crushed and 22 million Germans getting killed is sensational. 20-plus million Russians killed, sensational. 400,000 Americans killed, sensational. That many Brits killed, sensational. Millions of Japanese killed, sensational. Mao Zedong, backed by the CIA and the Ford Foundation running it, gets into power, kills 84 million people according to Chinese numbers. Sensational. Foreign megabanks openly taking over our government and having it sign away all of our rights through illegal treaties. The UN treaty saying they want to restrict all ownership of private firearms. The treaty goes into effect the 24th worldwide. Obama says he will back it with executive orders. Sensational. Cancer viruses openly in most of the vaccines. Sensational. UN caught sterilizing women in India and Africa this week. Mainstream news, London Guardian. Sensational. Cell phone study. Brain tumors triple with the use of cell phones. Mainline study. Sensational. 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 Washington Times. 4 Turkish terrorists caught in Texas after being smuggled across border. Sensational. Comet's probe solar panels caught in cliff's shadow, not getting enough light. Sensational. Amazon's looking for ex-military personnel to fly delivery drones. Sensational. Feminists demand censorship of Princess Leia. Catcalling parody video. Sensational. Republicans pressure bills to block Obama's unilateral immigration order. Sensational. Arctic vortex. Leading physics professor, Michiko, how do you pronounce that? I hear his name on the news all the time, but A-K-A-K-U, Mikaku, yeah, we always try to get him on, of the University of New York, has signaled a warning concerning the polar vortex, now bringing extreme cold weather to the majority of states in the U.S. Superstorm Nuri packs more energy than Hurricane Sandy. Is headed our way, and we are in the bullseye. This weekend, it's going to plow into Alaska, creating 50-foot waves. Then by midweek, all hell breaks loose. It's going to combine with jet stream, pushing Arctic air, perhaps as low as Florida, he writes for CBS News. In a worst-case scenario, it could mean a deep freeze. It means airlines canceling flights left and right. It means transportation being disrupted. We're talking disruption that will peak between November 13th and November 15th, starting right now, but will ripple throughout the rest of November, Akaku added, telling viewers to get used to polar vortexes because the Earth is changing, and we're going to see more violent swings. Well, yeah, you got all this secret geoengineering going on with the Department of Energy and other governments. And you've got this guy that pushes global warming. And see, now they're like, oh, pay carbon taxes because these things are getting violent. There's always been giant blue northers coming in. They just call them now mega vortexes. There's always been 10 feet of snow, sometimes 6 feet of snow. There's always been avalanches. I mean, what do you think explorers did that went across the United States, like Lewis and Clark? What do you think explorers went up to Alaska did, going over those mountains? I mean, what do you think we live in here? But like we've never discovered anything. Oh, my gosh, sometimes it gets really cold, and that proves global warming. No, the sun. That's why the UN 5 years ago had a vote and said, we vote that the sun does not affect climate. We'd be absolute zero without the sun in a matter of hours. If the sun wasn't shining within a day or so, physicists estimate that it would be absolute zero, except in deeper volcanic fissures. It is the sun. And I know people think that's a conspiracy because there's been so brainwashed that they don't know the sun actually gives the earth life. The plants, photosynthesis, everything. I know Al Gore says it doesn't. But it's why the polar ice caps on Mars were getting smaller. Now the sun's cooled down, they're getting bigger again. Because that's what happens. The sun. In the summer, it's hot. In the winter, it's cold because the sun. We're not tilted towards it.
We're on the march.